Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast, Christian Music Bros podcast. What do I say after that? It's been like a month, dude. I completely forgot what our
It's
intro.
okay, guys. It's been a while since we did this, guys. So we start. Like Brad said, we are the Christian Music Bros podcast. I'm no longer the Christian Music Bro podcast, like I said in the last episode, because Brad is actually back for this episode. But I'm Brendan, and this is Braden.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Sorry for that.
And thank you for joining in with our podcast. If you like what you're hearing, remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast. Share it with your friends. Share it with your dog. Share it with your grandma. I think everyone would love to hear it. And we have a special guest artist today, and I'll let Braden introduce them.
So we have an amazing artist with us, Jonathan Cyphers here. So thank you for joining us. We're super excited that you're here to talk with you about music, your story, and all that, man.
Absolutely. It's good to be here.
Thanks for being here. First thing we would like to bring up is just give us a little background about your music journey so far. Like, how has how has it been led to today? Sorry.
No, you're good. I grew up around music. My dad was a songwriter and a worship leader at my church. And so I don't know, there wasn't really like a moment where I was like, I want to do this. It just sort of was what I did. Um, I took to writing poetry really quickly. As soon as I learned what poetry was, it just words rhymed and it made sense. Um, and yeah, I would watch my dad write songs to kind of process life and funnel his emotions, and it just made sense as I had to process emotions to like do the same thing. Um, so I love questions that are like, when did you start writing music? Because I don't actually have like an age. I have no idea. It was like it's always just been part of the story.
Mhm.
Um, I taught myself guitar in college after years of playing bass. You can't really write music well when you just play bass. I wasn't that good of a bass player, so taught myself guitar, and then that was really like I think when the songwriting and everything launched itself. It became more of a thing that I did often versus a thing that I could do. Um, and started leading worship and continued just writing songs. Um, I'll give you guys the short version. I'm from New Hampshire, in New England. It's not like a really big music space. There aren't venues. Living in Nashville, it's insane. Places that I never thought would be a music venue are music venues. So it's super fun. It means some really creative spaces, but we just don't have that in New England. So I was basically just writing music in my closet, trying to get better at the art, not really knowing what I would ever do with it because there just wasn't an outlet. And I never learned how to really produce anything besides like an acoustic demo. So I wasn't putting music out or anything like that. And sorry. Uh, yeah, that just completely derailed all of my thought. Anyway, yeah, I wrote, I led worship, I bounced back and forth between New Hampshire and upstate New York, and eventually in 2021 was invited to Nashville to do some writing sessions, and that's really where doors started opening up, and eventually moved here in October of 2021, and that really is what kickstarted this whole season of life I'm in now. Went from kind of doing the thing in the secret and stewarding the gift that I felt the Lord had given me, and now being able to use it on a daily basis, and uh, just released an EP called The Comeback Kid, and that is a direct result of all of those things.
It's really cool to hear your story. Brad and I are big on like just hearing background stories and just hearing about a lot of 90% of people we are, oh, I'm a pastor's kid or worship leader's kid.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like it's like hearing the stories from different artists and their point of view of things.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have anything you want to say?
You mentioned that you just released your EP, The Comeback Kid, I think just 2 weeks ago or so, 2 or 3 weeks ago, which
It's been about 4 weeks.
gotcha. Okay, which love the album.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So
Thank you.
I'm really curious, like, what was the story behind that project specifically? Because you have amazing songwriting skills. Like, I love
Mm.
it, especially the singles leading up to it. But then all together, it's really a great collection. So I was curious, like, what is the story behind all the songs that compile that project?
Um, you know, the short version of that is I like I said, I'm from New England. I grew up as like the only Christian friend in my school kind of deal. I was the Christian kid in my friend group, which had nothing to do with like any ostentatious like thing. I just said that I went to youth group. And they're like, "What's that?" It's at my church. Oh, you're a Christian, cool. It's the region is not, it's like I think the last time I saw numbers, it's like 7% Christian in the Northeast. So really low. And so one of the things that I think about as a songwriter is the impact that my songs have on listeners, and who's listening to it, how I want to leave them after they hear my song. And I was realizing that, and I've realized throughout my life that if I want people to be impacted by my faith, uh, me living my faith and living with them with my faith makes more of an impact than me just talking about it. And so the goal with my music has been I want to create songs, write songs that are about real things, about issues that we all face, that we all struggle with, but allow my faith to invade that conversation with like real hope. Um, Not just sort of uh, be like, oh, life is really hard, but it's all good because God's got it. That's true, but I feel like it almost devalues the beginning part of that conversation by just sweeping it away. And so I want to write songs that meet people where they are in that space, um, and give them hope to keep going. And so I also wanted it to be songs that sounded cool. Like I like to listen to music, and I listen to music constantly. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. Um, and I didn't want just like a generic like pop sound. I wanted to really dig into like the layers, and I've been blessed with working with a couple producers that are insanely gifted, and are able to take my really bad descriptions and turn them into something really cool sonically. Um, so yeah, the idea for the project was I wanted to write a project that was basically each song was a conversation, and they all tied together in one big conversation from beginning to end, just about life, the tensions that we feel. I grew up a Christian, like I mentioned before, in an area that I didn't have a lot of Christian friends in my high school. I had them in youth group and stuff like that, but it's kind of isolated, and you get confronted with a lot of like conflicting things between what you believe and what you're experiencing. And I'm grateful for parents that like taught me to like take those things head on and wrestle with them. And so the songs are really get after that as well, just um, taking issues that we all face. Like one of the songs is called 6 p.m. It's about, I wanted to write a song that just is about loneliness and doesn't make it a side discussion, or uh,
Mhm.
doesn't really gloss over the fact that really just takes it head on of like there's a tension. We all experience loneliness. And I know as a believer, as a Christian, that God is in me at all times. He's with me. But I still feel lonely and I don't understand. And so like really digging into that tension with each of these songs, but also allowing there to like really finding where the hope is in the midst of that conversation. So that was really the short, long goal of the project, was just talking about tension and how to have hope in the midst of it.
Love that, man. So good.
That was awesome. Do you have a favorite song off the EP personally? And is there a song you would like to share and talk about?
Oh
Or a song
gosh.
you've written, or any song in general that you've written or performed?
Um, I mean, I've written a lot of songs, especially since moving here. It's a songwriting town. This EP is like the top five for me of the songs that I've written. So that was like the fun part of building this project was like I got to dig through all the songs that I've written and songs that I wanted to write and get after them. So I think probably my favorite song and the song that really launched this project, um, and it seems to be a favorite of a lot of people, is a song called "The Silence." Um, I wrote that with Alex Zwart and Jacob Stanifer, who I mean, we wrote all the songs, but on this project, which is a fun little tidbit. But this song in particular, I feel like we wrote it and it changed the trajectory. I went from just writing songs to writing for a purpose, and The Silence really was the one that did that. I also just the topic of The Silence is really an important one to me. I find myself talking about it all the time. So The Silence would be great to talk about and share.
Awesome. That's actually like the first song I ever heard by you personally. Braden knew you were really well, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a listen and everything. So he recommended me to use and everything. So
Awesome. I love it.
Braden, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to also ask about because you've been doing a lot of live shows recently. That's because I remember the first time I knew your name. I've recognized it a few times, but I didn't actually hear your song until I saw you at a concert opening for Grace Graber, and I was
Mhm.
blown away. My brother and I driving back, we just binged all your music that night. But like I loved it, dude. So I wanted to ask, like, what's the impact been of you doing shows? You also have a show tomorrow, which by the time this
Mhm.
episode comes out, will be today, which I'm super excited to see you there, man. But like, what's been the impact of doing these shows live and seeing people respond to them like that?
Oh man, I it's so easy to, especially as a like a songwriter, to forget who you're writing for. To forget that like you're not just writing for a moment, but you're if you release these songs, they have lasting impact for as long as the song exists in the world. And I I tend to write with people in mind. Um, I have some songs that I see the person that I'm writing for the entire time I'm writing a song, and that helps kind of guide how I'm talking about what I'm talking about or the message. And so the problem with that is it can get kind of discouraging, or you sort of lose sight of those things over time, because it's all imaginary
Mhm.
and for lack of a better word. So for me, the ability to be able to play these songs live it's been a gift that I'm deeply humbled by and grateful for. Like I said, I don't come from an area that really like does live music. Bands don't come and visit New Hampshire really ever, outside of like a music festival, and they just moved that music festival to Massachusetts. So just tells you some things. But uh, yeah. So the idea of being able to not just like have music out there, but also share it with people that like know the words and are invested in it has been massive and a massive blessing to me. Um, and more than anything, helps me like remind me who I'm writing songs for. It's encouraging because I'll have people come up to me and tell me like how what the songs have meant to them and how it's encouraged them, and that's the goal. That's the hope for these songs. Um, to me, the fact that I can encourage one person with any one of these songs, with the heart that's in it, with the hope that's in it, is that's everything. That's why I do this. And so being able to share these songs live, being able to experience them with people, rather than imagining them hearing it or whatever, but being able to like see and experience that with people and have conversations afterwards to go deeper into the subject about something that like really touched someone. It's just really special. It's a super big blessing. And uh, I'm grateful for it. Looking forward to doing more.
Mhm.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
impactful. We just have a few extra minutes. We're not going to take your whole day. So is there anything else you want to bring up, discuss with us? You have the floor for a few minutes.
Oh, awesome. Um, I mean, if you guys have any other specific questions, I'm totally down. Uh,
We like giving the artists the floor, so we just like have a platform. Is this like a what? We have them a
cool,
platform to speak. So
cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting when we think about music. Um, like I said, I think a lot about the impact that my words have on other people. Um, I feel like it's a really important thing that we think about what we're consuming and what we're putting out into the world. Right now, I love the fact that we're talking about mental health. I love that we're talking about depression and loneliness, and I think that's great. But one of the things that I often am saddened by in the midst of the conversation is we talk about these things, we open up these deep discussions, and then we kind of just leave them there. I remember a friend of mine who's a songwriter uh, once said, he said, talk about the deep things, but leave people in a better place than they were when you started the conversation.
Mhm.
And in this case, he was like, if you want to talk about depression, if you want to talk about loneliness, if you want to talk about these things, go for it. But if you leave your listener depressed at the end of the song's not done yet. You need to find a way to let hope get infused into this conversation. And that's been a massively impactful thing for me and how I write music. I sometimes it's literally as simple as tweaking a word in the chorus on the last chorus, just being like, and I do that all the time. That's kind of like my move now. One of my songs, FOMO, uh, does that. Just the last chorus is just a couple tweaks, and it shifts the perspective from this place of kind of desperation to hopefulness. Ultimately, there are things that like we can have better mentalities about, but I think really only God can do the ultimate work of healing and uh, resurrecting the thing that has like gone dead or dry in our hearts. And so um, I love the fact that I've been gifted this opportunity to be able to write music and release it and share it with the world, um, and hopefully do that for you know more people, as many people as they can reach, and having opportunities like this to talk about it and um, spread the word is a gift.
That's really cool. And if you guys haven't checked out Jonathan's music, I recommend checking it out. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. You can maybe find it on 8-Track. You can find it on 8-Track too, maybe. But
One of these days I'll have to get that done. That'll be good.
8-Track. Brandon, do you have anything else you want to close with or anything you want to say?
Yeah, this episode again comes out. If you're watching it the day it comes out, Jonathan's performing in Nashville with opening for an RSJ step. If you guys are in the Nashville area, come on out to the show. And if not, like Brendan said, check out his music. He just released a sick merch drop as well that highly recommend to check out. So definitely go all in Jonathan Cyphers. You'll not regret it. Definitely.
Thank you guys.
And thank you for joining us. I know this was a brief Zoom call. Like we said, we like keeping them brief with people, but we don't like taking your whole day too. It gets you prepared. But thanks again
Absolutely.
for tuning in with the episode. We hope to see you guys next time, and I hope you guys have a great week.